The BRSCC Mazda MX-5 SuperCup is brought to you by Gaz Shocks and Townsend Vehicle Hire Rugby.
Hello and welcome to Oulton Park in Cheshire for rounds 8 and 9 of the 2016 BRSCC Mazda MX-5 SuperCup. Now, last time out, the SuperCup made history by taking its first ever European trip to Zolder in Belgium. And if you missed what happened, here's race commentator Andy McEwan to take you through the highlights.
The championship had its first away day last time out at the Belgian circuit of Zolder. It was James Blake Baldwin who led most of the first encounter, with Tom Roach only briefly getting through into the race lead. James was able to fight back, but Tom spent the rest of the race trying to find a way back through, only to make a mistake at turn 1, allowing Jamie Goddard through into second. Jamie then set about attacking James for the race lead, but it was Blake Baldwin who held on to take the checkered flag. Race 2 again saw Blake Baldwin get out in front, with Tom Roach attacking him early on in second. Jamie Goddard had a gravelly excursion, whilst the battling further back was as intense as ever. Goddard was able to work his way back through the order nicely, but James Blake Baldwin was able to escape all of the action behind to take a double race victory. That means that Blake Baldwin is now 3 points clear of Tom Roach and Alan Henderson, who are tied for second arriving at Oulton Park. Johnny Greensmith is third, and Liam Murphy fifth is just a little bit too far back to realistically still be in contention. Sunny skies, warm weather and one of the country's most challenging racetracks greet the drivers as they make their way out on the green flag lap for race number 1 here on the Oulton Park International Circuit. This should be a cracking pair of races. Here's how the grid lines up for the first one. It's Alan Henderson with Tom Roach on the front row of the grid. Liam Murphy and Jack Harding make up row 2. Johnny Greensmith and James Blake Baldwin row 3, with John Davies and Richard Wicklin on the 4th row. It's then Simon Goddard and Gary Townsend rounding out the top 10. Tom Collins and Simon Fleet on row 6. Jamie Goddard's down on row 7 with Carl Garnett, and James Harris and Jeff Gurrier make up row 8. So here we go then. It is Alan Henderson in the grey car on pole position, with Tom Roach alongside him on the front row of the grid. The lights go out, away we go. We're heading down towards Old Hall Corner for the first time of asking, and Tom Roach appears to have made the better start. From the outside of the front row, he sweeps across in front of Alan Henderson into turn number 1. It's 3 abreast further back with the 3 blue cars. That was Jack Harding trying to go around the outside of Liam Murphy and Johnny Greensmith, and unfortunately been elbowed out onto the grass. A few more cars further back also getting out onto the green stuff, but it's Roach that leads the way. It is Henderson second, Greensmith third, Blake Baldwin's up into 4th, and that looks like Richard Wicklin into 5th position. Richard Wicklin started 8th, so he'd had a brilliant start. All of the blue cars ganging up together. Further back, a few more cars running a bit wide. We're on board with John Davies in behind Jack Harding, so we're in about 7th place, I reckon. We make our way down into the dauntingly quick left-hander at Island Bend, one of the few properly quick left-handers in the country, and then into the braking zone of the Shell Oils Hairpin. This is a potential overtaking opportunity. Because of the banking, it's quite easy to go in on a tight line and defend the position on the way through, and that's exactly what Jack Harding does, so he keeps hold of that position. The top 4 getting away slightly. Wicklin 5th, Murphy 6th, Harding 7th, John Davies is actually 8th position. Then 9th place for Simon Goddard, looking 10th by the look of it is Gary Townsend, which is where he started the race. Tom Collins in the silver and fluorescent yellow car behind. Welcome back into the championship for him. The race leaders make their way down towards the Hislop chicane for the first time, though again this is a potential overtaking opportunity, but it's not easy to find a way through down here, and most of the drivers choosing to stay single file for now. This is the first lap of the race, 20-minute race, so we're anticipating about 10 laps should be the distance. Up the hill, underneath the bridge at Clay Hill, then through the left-hander past the water tower and into the daunting right-hander, double apex right-hander at Druids. And well, Alan Henderson perhaps thinking about going for the race lead there, certainly was on the inside line. Whether that was to attack Tom Roach for the lead or to defend from the cars behind his 3rd position, I'm not too sure. There goes Carl Garnett in the number 19 car. He's running down in 12th place at the moment. The lead is up towards Lodge Corner. The first move being made is for 5th place though, as Liam Murphy looks at the inside of Richard Wicklin. It didn't quite work on the way in. On the way out, Murphy still just about has his nose in the gap though, so they're side by side up and over Deers Leap towards Old Hall Corner. They come again. Murphy on the inside, Wicklin on the outside. The leading 4 cars fan out, and there's a possible change for 3rd. Yes, a really great opportunistic move there by James Blake Baldwin, the championship leader, to get up the inside of Johnny Greensmith, so they're wheel to wheel down towards the right-hand kink at Denton's, then the left-hander at Cascade. Greensmith now has the inside line again though, and will hold on to the position behind them. Liam Murphy did move through into 5th place though, so Murphy's now gone 5th. Richard Wicklin is down to 6th position, and already starting actually to fall into the clutches of Jack Harding. Tom Roach weaving this way and that to try and break the slipstream of the cars behind him. Through Ireland Bend they go. Alan Henderson, the AK Automotive car, who missed that last round at Zolder, remember, so they will count as his 2 drop scores. He cannot afford another bad result this weekend or at any race from now until the end of the season, so it's absolutely maximum pressure now for Alan Henderson if he's going to take back-to-back titles. If he could do so, that would be quite the achievement, wouldn't it? But can he do it? That's the question. Out through the Britain chicane, up and over Hilltop, down towards the next chicane at Hislops. Even the chicanes here at Oulton Park have a really nice flow to them, don't they? Drivers do love this place, not just because of the undulations, but the surprisingly high speed. People forget, I think, just how quick the Oulton Park International Circuit is, in parts. Out of Knickerbrook corner, up and over the hill they go. Johnny Greensmith a bit wide there. That opens the door for James Blake Baldwin to get back alongside him, up and over Clay Hill. And watch out for Liam Murphy to try and follow him through as well. This is for 3rd position. James Blake Baldwin does go through, and up the inside goes Liam Murphy into Druids, and he'll go through into 4th. So great opportunistic driving from both drivers there. Often the best way to overtake around Oulton Park is to take advantage of a minuscule mistake from the car in front, and it was only a minuscule one for Johnny Greensmith, but it cost him 2 places. Further back, this is a battle between Jeremy Crook in the 77 car and the 71 car of Jeff Gurrier. Paul Sheard guest car normally, that's 71 machine. Down towards Lodge Corner they go. These two are battling outside the top 15 or so, but the battle's raging as ever right the way down the pack. Out of Lodge, up over the curbs they go. These are the leaders, and Johnny Greensmith trying to go around the outside of Liam Murphy and does so, but Jack Harding runs into the back of him. That means that Richard Wickland takes full advantage and goes past the pair of them, so lots of shuffling going on there through Old Hall Corner. We're now on board with the number 33 car of John Davies down towards Cascades. We're now looking up the inside of Liam Murphy as well, so Murphy had been making good ground before, but somehow he got hung out to drive through Old Hall Corner and ended up losing a whole heap of positions. That's all allowed the top 2 to get away now. Roach from Henderson, then a big gap back to Blake Baldwin 3rd, 4th place Johnny Greensmith, and Richard Wickland now up into 5th. So down towards Old Hall Corner we go again. The top 2 still doing battle, with Blake Baldwin just starting to break away now from Richard Wickland, who's up into 4th position, so he's found a way past Johnny Greensmith now. He's down to 5th. Liam Murphy is 6th and Jack Harding is 7th place. They're getting away from John Davies though in 8th. We've completed 7 laps of the race, so about 3 laps to go, and the question now becomes A, whether Alan Henderson can do anything about Tom Roach, and B, whether James Blake Baldwin can bridge the gap between the cars fighting for 4th and the cars fighting for the race lead, who are side by side into Ireland Bend, but Henderson only had the outside line to play with there, and so Tom Roach was able to hang on to the race lead for the time being. But certainly the pressure being applied. Speaking of pressure being applied, Liam Murphy looking up the inside of Johnny Greensmith there into the Shell hairpin. I think he got his nose in the gap. No, not quite. Greensmith has held on there. The banking means you can carry an awful lot of speed through that hairpin, and you can go right around the outside of someone, so even if someone gets up the inside of you, the momentum is often on the outside line, and so Greensmith used that to his advantage to hold on to what is 4th position. Up and over Hilltop again, down towards the Hislop chicane, and I reckon that to the eye, Blake Baldwin is going after the leading 2, and he's sort of bringing Richard Wickland with him now that Greensmith and Liam Murphy are getting preoccupied with each other. It could just be allowing the cars in front of them to escape slightly, and if they can escape from these 2, they may be able to get their heads down and chase on after the leading 2. Up and over Clay Hill again, Jack Harding there in the pale blue and red car, the second AK Automotive car. Up and over the hill, through the left-hand kink before Druids, and Greensmith again is just driving in his mirrors more than out of his windscreen, isn't he? He's very conscious of the fact that Liam Murphy is there behind him, and Murphy gets a good run off Druids. He might be able to get to the inside. Oh, and behind, John Davies has just got off through the gravel trap. Look in the background. In the foreground, though, Liam Murphy is going through into 5th position, I think, up the inside of Johnny Greensmith. Yes, he does. And Greensmith maybe get a switch back on the exit of the corner, though. That's quite common through Lodge. He's going to try it, and he might just have done it. He's got his nose alongside. We'll have to wait and see whether he made that stick. We're, for now, seeing a replay of John Davies, who just lost the rear of the car going into Druids, corrected it, but overcorrected it, and it spat back the other way. Right, on to the final lap of the race, and the leaders have been caught, look, and James Blake Baldwin goes through into 2nd place. Alan Henderson, far from attacking Roach for the lead, is now going backwards. Richard Wickland also gets himself alongside on the run down towards Cascades, and I think he's going to go through into 3rd, so 2 places lost for Alan Henderson. That could prove absolutely vital points lost certainly to one of his main championship rivals, Tom Roach. So Tom Roach it is who has now this fairly healthy buffer over James Blake Baldwin, who's up into 2nd position. Richard Richard Wicklin's into third, Alan Henderson fourth, Liam Murphy is now fifth, and then sixth position for Johnny Greensmith with Jack Harding challenging him in seventh. Further back, Henderson tries back up the inside of Wicklin into the Shell Oils hairpin. I don't think that one was going to work. He was a bit too far back, I reckon. Yes, he was. Now, can Roach be caught by Blake Baldwin over the remaining half lap? That's the question. Blake Baldwin certainly has found a real turn of speed in the second half of this race. Richard Wicklin, by the way, has set the fastest lap of the race a couple of laps ago. So those two cars did start working together. They did get their head down and they were able to catch the leading two. They've overhauled one of them. Can they get past the other one? Over Hilltop, down towards the Hizzy chicane. Roach doesn't feel the need to defend here. It's all about the exit from this section of track and the run through Druids. Well, forget that, because Blake Baldwin's already there. He's had a really good run through the chicane. Oh, further back, Alan Henderson's on the grass. Alan Henderson losing more positions. What an uncharacteristic mistake. He's now down to fifth place because Liam Murphy has taken advantage of that to go through. Alan Henderson goes from second to fifth on the last lap. Right, up towards Druids they come for the final time. Now, what sort of a run can James Blake Baldwin get out of here? And can he possibly attack Tom Roach for the race win down into Lodge Corner? There is one more corner to go. It is going down all the way down to the wire, this race, as we sort of thought it would. Tom Roach will have to defend the inside line. He does. James Blake Baldwin goes to the outside. He's going to try and focus on getting a better exit out of the corner. It's all about the run to the flag now and the slipstream effect. This has been done before, but I don't think Blake Baldwin's quite going to get there. It's a drag to the start-finish line, and Tom Roach will just about hang on from James Blake Baldwin in second, Richard Wicklin in third, and Liam Murphy in fourth. The top four cars covered by only 1 second, with Alan Henderson all the way down to fifth. Further back, the battle's still going on. This is Simon Fleet, who's coming home in 13th place. He's the third highest placed master in the race, though. Simon Goddard it is who wins the Masters category. Gary Townsend will be second, and Simon Fleet there in the blue and pink car takes home third. John Davies, by the way, was 15th after his spin, but it is Tom Roach who hangs on to take the victory. He had to fend off a lot of cars towards the end of the race, but he did it superbly. Roach with the win by 0.2 of a second over Blake Baldwin second, Wicklin third, Murphy fourth, and Henderson fifth. Then it's Greensmith, Harding, Simon Goddard, Tom Collins, and Jamie Goddard rounds out the top 10. Carl Garnett 11th, then Gary Townsend, Simon Fleet, James Harris, and John Davies rounds out the top 15. Ray Worley was down there in 18th place, Steve Dolman 21st, George Grant, Greg Catton, Michael Lawson, Ian McDonald, and Alex King round out the 26 finishers.
No, that was a really good race. I managed to get a good start, and I could see me and Alan were getting away, and Alan wasn't attacking too much, so we could kind of work together. But then James and the other boys really came on towards the end of the race, and I was so glad to see the checkered flag.
We had a bad qualifying and messed around with the car, and meant to be started from sixth. Got an amazing start and had to defend for the first half of the race. But after that, managed to get a bit of a gap on, I think, Jonathan Greensmith, and managed to catch Alan and Tom, and got past Alan on turn one. Nearly had Tom on the last lap, but I thought we had one more lap to go. So.
We had a good start, but the car didn't really seem to be on it at the first few laps, where we lost Murphy and Harding, and then the car just gradually come to us and we picked them off one by one. You know, made advantage of all the errors. I mean, I think Liam and Jack come together at the first corner, which we got away on both. Obviously I followed James through with Henderson. I think, to be fair, Johnny, I think he missed a gear or something, and that's what we got there. So it played into our hands today, but we'll take it as we will.
Well, Oulton Park has already produced one thriller for us today. Join us after the break to see if it does so again with race 2. Hello and welcome back to Oulton Park, where race number 2 for the Mazda MX-5 SuperCup is only a few moments away. The car's lining up on the grid, but first let's take a look back at the Masters Championship from race 1. As ever, the Masters Championship provided plenty of great battles up and down the order, including the race-long scrap between Ian McDonald and Greg Catton. Ian was ahead for much of the early running before this spin at the Hislop chicane allowed Greg through into 9th place. George Grant came home 8th place within the Masters Championship, 22nd position overall. Steve Dolman was some way up the road from him and took 7th place within the class. There was a good battle all race long between Jeremy Crook and David Willoughby. David had the advantage for much of the early part of the race, but after enough pressure was applied, Jeremy did eventually find a way through into 5th. Jeff Gurrier had several fights with several Masters competitors, including Ray Worley, who was 4th place within the class. Simon Fleet came home a solid 3rd place and just missed out on 2nd, having caught Gary Townsend towards the end of the race. Gary was able to hang on though, finishing 12th place overall. He was the second highest master in the race. No one though could catch Simon Goddard. His 8th place overall was more than enough to take a comfortable Masters win in race 1. So, race number 2 here at Oulton Park is just a few moments away. The grid for this one based on the results of race 1, so it's Roach and Blake Baldwin on the front row of the grid, and Tom Roach on the inside line makes a better start from the inside than Alan Henderson was able to in race number 1, so he'll run wheel to wheel with Blake Baldwin into Old Hall Corner. They're still side by side through the turn though. Let's hope everyone else gets through okay. Number 36 car there is David Henderson, who gets squeezed out wide at the front of the field though. I think they're still side by side, aren't they? Yes, they are, down towards Cascade with Blake Baldwin on the inside, Roach on the outside. He can't go right round the outside and instead had to try and get across to the inside line before anyone else followed him through. So it is Blake Baldwin who has the lead. Roach did find a way into line in second place, on board with John Davies further down the order though, as we make our way down the Lakeside Straight in towards Island Bend, and John appears to have lost a few more places. He started quite a long way down the order after his late race off at Druids in race 1. We're going around the outside though here into the Shell Oils hairpin. Now can he carry momentum right round the outside? This is doable. He'll carry good speed off the turn, and yes, I think that's worked quite nicely for John Davies. Up in front, Simon Goddard there going around the outside of Alan Henderson. Alan Henderson's not had a good start, has he? Lost more ground after the late issues he had in race number 1. He can little afford to lose more points in this one. This is not good for his championship hopes. So Blake Baldwin leads the way. Roach is second. It looks like Liam Murphy's there in third, ahead of Johnny Greensmith fourth. Richard Wicklin is fifth, and here comes Alan Henderson looking back at the inside of Simon Goddard for sixth in the background. I don't think that one was going to work there. He was quite some way back as they turned their way through the Hizzy chicane. Let's see. No, it didn't, and Goddard is still ahead. Then it's Henderson and his teammate Jack Harding in behind him, number 43, and Tom Collins and Gary Townsend making their way up Clay Hill towards the double apex right-hander at Druids. Roach looking up the inside. This is an ambitious place to try and move, but Tom Roach is nothing if not ambitious and committed, and I think he's going to go through. Spectacular move made there by Tom Roach, and it almost left the door open for Liam Murphy to follow him through. Blake Baldwin just about gets up the to the inside line to defend though, so Roach has gone through into the race lead. Blake Baldwin down to second. Here in the battles further back as Simon Goddard has made a good start, but it's now a bit of a cork in the bottle here, isn't he? Alan Henderson really would like to try and find a way through if at all possible. He's going to try and get alongside at the end of lap 1. So the leading quintet getting ahead of the rest of the field at the end of the first lap. Up towards Old Hall Corner they go. They're not going to change position, but further back I think Henderson did go up the inside of Simon Goddard. So Goddard does lose out, and Henderson gets himself back into 6th, but already he's got a bit of a gap to bridge to get to the leading group of 5. They're making their way down towards Cascades for the second time of asking. They swing their way through the high-speed left-hander and back down the Lakeside Straight, and then the slipstream starts to take effect and bunches them all back together again. See a bit of a ding in the back of Richard Wicklin's car there. He's had contact somewhere along the way in the first lap or so. Tom Roach weaving this way and that to try and break the toe and to defend the inside line from Blake Baldwin too. Back on board with John Davies here as we go through Island Bend. We've got lots of battling going on up in front. That is Tom Collins on the inside and Gary Townsend going round the outside of him at Shell. That doesn't quite pay off for him though, so Tom Collins it is who will hang on to that place. Through the right-hander here towards Britons. Fling their way using a lot of curbs through here, through the left, through the right, don't hit the tyre stack, and then use a bit of curb just there on the exit as well, and carry the speed up and over Hilltop, back down towards Hislops again. Roach is in the lead, and it's now Blake Baldwin defending his second place from Liam Murphy, who's weaving this way and that, but can't quite find a way through. Roach hanging on and doing everything he can to try and pull away. So a little bit further down the order, this is Steve Dolman at the inside of Ray Worley. These two are fighting way down the order, down in about 18th position, but the fighting just as intense here as it is at the front. David Willoughby in the black number 41 car leading this group. Then you've got George Grant in the 69, number 40 is Ray Worley, and Steve Dolman in the 52 as well. Some of those master competitors as Alan Henderson is off the track. Alan Henderson running wide out of the Shell Oils hairpin. I think he was assisted off maybe there by Richard Wicklin, or certainly he was going around the outside of Richard Wicklin, and Richard showed him the edge of the road. Whether there was contact or not, I'm not too sure, but Alan Henderson with a very uncharacteristically scrappy weekend here at Oulton Park. Let's see what happens then. Wicklin attacked up the inside of Johnny Greensmith. It didn't work. It loses him momentum. Henderson seizes the opportunity around the outside, but Richard Wicklin is well within his rights there to run out to the edge of the track, and unfortunately for Alan Henderson, it means he ends up on the grass. Right, then leaders back down towards Lodge Corner. Lots of action going on here as several positions are potentially about to change, but in the end I don't think any of them did. The race lead may be about to though, because Blake Baldwin's done a beautiful switchback manoeuvre to get to the inside line into Old Hall Corner, and this is the start of the final lap of the race as well. Blake Baldwin on the inside, Roach on the outside, and James Blake Baldwin goes through into the race lead, or does he? Roach tries to hang on around the outside, but that wasn't ever going to work. So Blake Baldwin through into the race lead. For the pack, Steve Dolman's going up the inside of David Willoughby there into Lodge Corner. That was a nicely executed move within the Masters element of the race. And now George Grant's got Jeff Gurrier in the 71 car trying to find a way through as well. Down towards Old Hall Corner. They sweep through that first turn. Ray Worley not far back either in the number 40 car. Oh dear, and George Grant gets out onto the grass, loses the rear of the car and crunch straight into the barriers. Not too much damage done, but his race is over. Right then, half a lap to go. Blake Baldwin it is who leads the race, having snatched the lead at the most opportune of moments. He now only has to hang on for another half a lap, but he's got Mr. MX-5 to try and hang on from. Tom Roach is fired up, wants to try and get a race win here in race number 2 to get a double race victory, which is exactly what James Blake Baldwin did at Zolder last time out. So Roach really wants to try and do this here at Oulton Park. He's weaving to the inside, back to the outside into the Hislop chicane. That won't work, but he can maybe try and carry a bit more speed through the chicane and then out of Knickerbrook to maybe get the run up Clay Hill. He's got to be careful though, because Jack Harding's moved up into 3rd place and he's right with them as well. Jack Harding looking for his first podium of the season, and Tom Roach gets 2 wheels on the grass. He still can't find a way through. James Blake Baldwin is having to drive around the inside of the circuit to hang on to the race lead. Hold on to your hats, 2 more corners to go, and Blake Baldwin again has to defend in towards Druid, but Roach daren't go out wide because he knows that Jack Harding is more than close enough to seize the opportunity to attack him as well. So Roach is having to attack for the race lead and defend 2nd place as well. Look at this train of 2, 4, 6. I think there's about 8 cars here, all fighting for the leading positions with 1 more corner to go. Further back, Liam Murphy goes up the inside of Richard Wickland, but I think just about James Blake Baldwin is going to hang on. He comes up and over Deers Leap for the final time. James Blake Baldwin wins a sensational race here at Oulton Park. 2nd place for Tom Roach. 3rd place I think went to Jack Harding. Yes, it did, by 0.2 of a second over Johnny Greensmith in 4th. Liam Murphy did get 5th away from Richard Wickland at the last corner, but it is James Blake Baldwin who wins a scintillating race here at Oulton Park. Blake Baldwin with the win, Roach in 2nd, Harding 3rd, then Greensmith 4th and Murphy 5th, then Wickland, Tom Collins, Simon Goddard, Alan Henderson and Jamie Goddard round out the top 10, with Carl Garnett, Gary Townsend, James Harris, Simon Fleet and John Davies rounding out the 15. Jeremy Crook there was 17th, Steve Dolman 18th, Dave Willoughby 19th, Jeff Gurrier 20th. We lost, unfortunately, Michael Lawson from that race. He's the only retirement, though, out of both races today at Oulton Park.
That was a lot of hard work. Got a good start and managed to get alongside Tom in turn 1 and managed to overtake him. But we had this plan in our heads that we were going to sort of work together and go away, and he just centred up the inside on the first lap, somewhere around the back circuit. So I thought, right, we're playing like that. And then there was just nothing in it between all of us. So it's an amazing race, good fun, came out on top.
James drove really well. I mean, it's so weird when you're behind, you feel like you're so much faster, and then as soon as you get in the lead, it's like, oh god, it's just a massive train of people behind you. And yeah, he did a really good move coming out in the last corner and got alongside. He got down the inside, and then yeah, it was really close, but it was great fun. Really close racing for everyone, and it was brilliant.
Yeah, definitely want to get on the podium after Zolder. Got a bit of a taste for it, but no, we just seem to be doing a lot better in the last few races. We've got the hang of the car and the setup, and I think it's mainly my driving is just improving a lot. So yeah, it's good to be back on podium.